Well, good morning and welcome to our first Northern Beaches Church of Christ online church service. It'll be a bit of a work in progress, and we would love to get your feedback. What are the things that went well? What could we improve? And we just want to be able to minister and serve you at home as best we can. I just pray that you're all getting used to the new normal, that you are well and keeping safe. And we will be wanting to check in with you and continue to support and serve you in ways that would be helpful as we go forward. So welcome to this service. We're going to start by just inviting you to worship God in your own space there at home as Shane leads us in a song or two.
Oh, I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Oh, I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. Oh, it's love so undeniable, I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable, I can hardly think, 'cause you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still into love, love, love. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good father.
Well, as we said, with the restrictions and social distancing, that's all part of the COVID-19 pandemic requirements for us. We're going to be doing church more online. The good thing is that as the church, whether we're the church gathered or the church scattered, we are no less the church. And we have been looking at church over the last several weeks, looking at who God has called us to be and what He's called us to do as His people. And we've seen the fact that the church is not a building. It is a body of believers. And the church is not a program. It's the people of God, whom He has called and chosen, whom He has cherished and is commissioning to do His kingdom purposes in the world. And so, as we move forward, even though we have to do things a little differently, we can still move with great faith and with great confidence. I believe God is forging new pathways for His kingdom. I believe along with the obstacles will come opportunities, and along with the problems will come some real possibilities. And so I'm excited by this season as to the new discoverings and the new learnings that we will all go through as God leads us forward. So for inspiration and instruction, I wanted to go back to the description of the earliest church as we look at our own journey in this time. So this reading is from Acts chapter 2, verses 41 to 47. Those who accepted His message were baptized, and about 3,000 were added to their number that day. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, and to fellowship, and to the breaking of bread, and to prayer. Everyone was filled with awe at the many wonders and signs performed by the apostles. All the believers were together and had everything in common. They sold property and possessions to give to anyone who had need. Every day they continued to meet together in the temple courts. They broke bread in their homes and ate together with glad and sincere hearts, praising God and enjoying favour of all the people. And the Lord added to their number daily those who were being saved. Every time I read that passage, I can't help but be inspired afresh by the descriptions of this dynamic Christian community. And so I just want to point out three things as we move forward today. The first one is be intentional. There are three words that we easily skip over in that passage where it says, they devoted themselves. They devoted themselves. Now there are church leaders all over the globe who are desperately trying to devote their people, the members of their churches. They're trying to get them motivated, get them inspired, get them invested, get them enthusiastic. They're trying to devote the people. But that was never how it was meant to be. It was something that was intrinsic, something that was the work of God in the hearts of the people, that meant that they devoted themselves. They didn't have to have anyone cajoling. They didn't have to have anyone pressuring. They didn't have to have anyone on their backs trying to somehow motivate them to greater efforts. It was something that they desired and delighted to do. Paul Scanlon tells the story of when he went to a pub in England. I think the pubs in England are a bit more like community centres where people gather socially, etc. And as he got talking to the bartender, he actually found out that this bartender was an ex-Baptist minister. And so as he was talking to him, he asked the question. He said, well, how are you finding, your change in vocation? And surprisingly, he said, I'm loving it. He said, what I find is that people come here willingly. I don't have to somehow try to, cajole them to get along here. They come of their own free will, they come gladly, they participate fully, and sometimes I have to even chase them out of here when closing hour comes. He said, but in the church, he said, I just got so tired of trying to motivate people for themselves. That was never what God intended. And so in this season, it's going to be a time when we're going to have to motivate ourselves, where we're going to have to become intentional in making sure that we're feeding ourselves spiritually. We need to take responsibility for our own spiritual growth, for developing the habits and the rhythms, seeing the normal processes aren't going to be in place. No one will know what you're doing on a Sunday morning. No one will know if you're giving or not. That's something that's going to have to come from you. And so what I would say is be intentional. Build into your life those practices and those rhythms that will sustain you spiritually at this time. So this is a season for devoting ourselves. And for this time, you'll need to take responsibility and take initiative for feeding yourselves. Rather than relying on others to feed you, you may need to do some self-feeding. And that's not a bad thing, because as someone said, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach him how to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. So let's be intentional. Secondly, let's be in touch. We read what they devoted themselves to. It was to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. And so we can still be devoted to those things. We can still be devoted to the apostles' teaching. As we said, we can feed ourselves. We can get involved in lots of resources online, and in our Sunday services we will be continuing to teach. We can also be involved in breaking of bread, in communion. You can do that just in your home. I remember when I was a young lad, our family would go on an annual holiday, and we would not be attending church while we were at the beach. But on a Sunday morning, we still gathered around the dining room table and we celebrated communion together. And that for me was a very special time, because it communicated that we were remembering the sacrifice of Jesus. It wasn't just a ritual that happened in a church service. It was something that was a part of our lives. So you can, by all means, celebrate communion in your home as a small gathering. And then to prayer. We can still pray for each other. And prayer is one of those things that goes beyond all barriers or restrictions. So keep on praying. There's many prayer needs at this time for us as a nation, for people around you, for your own family, for our church family. Keep on praying. And then in terms of fellowship, now of course we read that they met together daily as a large group in the temple courts. And that was probably the only venue at that time that was large enough that would hold several thousand people. But they also met in their homes. And so normally we would be gathering in large and small groups to encourage each other as a church. Now that's not possible physically at this point in time, but we do have what they didn't have. We do have telephones, we do have email and the internet and online. So just avail yourselves of those means to still stay in touch. And there will be a link in the newsletter that you can just click on that will take you to these services that we're putting online. So do that. And in the near future we're looking to introduce Zoom meetings, which are online meetings, which you can then participate with others in small group connections and discussions. So more about that in a little while. So let me encourage you, stay in touch through whatever avenues and opportunities are made available to you at this time. Remember, God didn't give us a spirit of timidity, but of love, power, or sound judgment. And so even though technology may be a little unfamiliar to some of you and you may not quite know how to navigate your way around that, we're here to support you. Particularly Brian or others can give you the information you need so that you can stay connected. So let's do that as a church. Let me read from Hebrews chapter 10. Let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. In the Message translation, verse 24 says, let's see how inventive we can be in encouraging each other. And that's what we're doing. We're being inventive in encouraging each other through the means available to us within our current restrictions. So, be intentional, be in touch, and finally be influential. We read how the early church had such a powerful and positive impact in the world of its day and upon those in the community. And they were truly salt and light to those around them. And of course, the darker the night, the brighter our light shines. The more desperate the circumstances, the more our peace has impact. And so I want to encourage you during this time. This is a time when people's props are kicked out from under them. This is a time of disruption. This is a time when many are anxious. And so this is a time when we can witness and minister very powerfully into people's lives by being a non-anxious presence, by allowing hope to win out. And so as Christians, we have such a strong currency in hope, in confidence, in assurance. We have a God who will never leave us or forsake us. We have a Saviour who has gained the victory over sin and death, and we enter into and share his victory. We have a peace that passes all understanding. We have a certain hope and destiny. We have the knowledge that whatever may happen, ultimately, for us, it's all going to be okay. God has our future in his hands, and in that we rest assured. In these dark times, we have an opportunity to shine even more brightly. So let this be a time when faith overcomes fear, where love overcomes selfishness, where peace overcomes anxiety. And as we read in the scriptures, in 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 15, always be prepared to give an answer to everyone who asks you to give the reason for the hope that you have. Do this with gentleness and respect. As people see us reacting in a way that is so unusual, where they see in us a hope, that hopefully will raise in them some questions. And as they begin to ask those questions, be ready to give the reason for the hope that you have. And so let me encourage you, even though there's a lot of noise going on in the world in terms of the difficulties that we're facing and that we will be going through, to continue to be intentional in terms of your own personal spiritual growth, doing those things that will help to bolster and refresh and strengthen you in your faith, to be in touch in ways that are going to be helpful through the means that we have available, and then be influential. Continue to be salt and light, a witness for God at these and in these anxious times. God bless.
Take two. Rightio.
What do I press?
Just the space bar.
Okay.
Started moving it. Cool. Oh, I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased tonight. I'm never alone. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. Oh, I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers. Only you provide, 'cause you know just what we need before we say a word. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways. You are perfect in all of your ways to us. Oh, it's love so undeniable. I can hardly speak. Peace so unexplainable. I can hardly think, 'cause you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still as you call me. Deeper still into love. Love, love. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am.